Hi, it's Paul Maunder from Production Expert. One of the most commonly encountered noise issues on location dialogue recordings is clothing rustle. This is often a problem when lav mics have been used and clothing is directly in contact with the microphone. In this video, we'll be hearing some examples of dialogue recordings which exhibit this problem, and I'll be using Hush Pro to reduce the rustle. So in this session, I have 8 pieces of audio. We're going to try and tackle each of them, starting with number 1. I'll play it first, then we'll delve into Hush Pro and see what we can do.
I was not sure whether I wanted to do that, but then I was presented with no option.
Okay, so there's fairly obvious clothing rustle, especially around here.
But then I was presented with no option.
Hush Pro is an audio suite plugin, and it's one which also requires Apple Silicon. So we've got 3 faders, if you haven't seen this before, one for voice, another for reverb, and finally we have a noise slider here. We can adjust these independently or they can be linked. So I could, for example, just adjust the noise here or the reverb, or I can link them together and they can operate in tandem like that. We also have a solo and mute function along with bypass for each of those faders.
I was not sure whether I wanted to do that, but then I was presented with no option. I was not sure whether I wanted to do that, but then I was presented with no option.
That's very good. If you wanted to hear just the noise, sometimes it's worth doing so you can understand really what you're dealing with. You can solo it, preview it. That's pretty effective. That is pretty much just rustle with a hint of voice coming through. But I'm going to try muting it completely and rendering it, and then we'll see what the result sounds like. Here's the processed version.
I was not sure whether I wanted to do that, but then I was presented with no option.
That's a very big improvement, so significantly better than what we started with, and it's got rid of the vast majority of the clothing rustle. Okay, next one. Here it is in its raw form.
I think even our most sophisticated scientists out there with the most immense brains can't fathom or figure out what on earth that all is about.
Okay, so clearly, same issue. I'm going to try previewing this, and this time I'll just try reducing the noise. Maybe rather than muting it, I'll try pulling it down by however much seems to work.
I think even our most sophisticated scientists out there with the most immense brains can't fathom or figure out what on earth that all is about. I think even
Okay, that's good. Very good result, really. This particular recording doesn't have any reverb on it, but don't worry, you'll hear that later on. So I'm happy with that result. Render it, and then we'll just have one more listen to the finished result.
I think even our most sophisticated scientists out there with the most immense brains can't fathom or figure out what on earth that all is about.
Sometimes you don't want to completely eradicate the noise. It's often a balance. So, number 3, here it is with no processing on it.
We know that increasing coaching occasions drives better performance, but there's much more that we can do to understand.
Okay, so there's a couple of things going on with this. There is probably a little bit of reverb on there, but also there's a continuous background noise of some kind of, maybe it's like a computer fan or something. And around here in particular, you can hear a little bit of fabric rustling on the microphone. I'll just play this little section again.
Better performance, but there's much more that we can do to understand what...
Okay, we can definitely improve this. Let's, just out of interest, solo the reverb, because I am hearing a little bit of a kind of room reflection going on in there. So here's the reverb on its own.
We know that increasing coaching occasions drives better performance.
Yeah, so we can reduce that.
Much more that we can do to understand,
and especially reduce the noise.
The coaching occasion that is unlocking that performance improvement. We know that increasing coaching occasions drives better performance, but there's much more that we can do to understand what specifically it is about the coaching occasion that is unlocking that performance improvement.
Let's render it. And then once it's rendered, we'll just take a listen to the end result.
We know that increasing coaching occasions drives better performance, but there's much more that we can do to understand what specifically it is about the coaching occasion that is unlocking that performance improvement. Okay,
good. Now moving on to number 4.
It potentially isn't just some PowerPoint slides. There's podcasts, there's some YouTube videos.
Okay, obvious. There's some reverb on this. There's some general background noise again. And we've got that rustling going on here.
Some PowerPoint slides, there's podcasts.
This could be vastly improved, and I'm sure Hush Pro will do a good job with it. So I'll start with the noise, then we'll do the reverb.
it potentially isn't just some PowerPoint slides.
Here's the noise on its own. The rustling only happens at certain bits, so you'll hear when it loops around again, hear this. That's what we're trying to remove, so reduce that in level. Okay, maybe that's enough.
From other areas
Here's
that they
the
can really
reverb.
pull from. It potentially isn't just some PowerPoint.
Yeah, there's quite a bit there.
There's some YouTube videos, there's content from CCEP, there's also content.
Okay, so before I do this, here's a quick reminder, before I render it, here's a quick reminder of the original unprocessed audio.
It potentially isn't just some PowerPoint slides, there's podcasts, there's some...
Okay, and now we're going to render this, and it's fairly quick, obviously dependent on which version of Apple Silicon you actually have. Here's the end result.
It potentially isn't just some PowerPoint slides. There's podcasts, there's some YouTube videos, there's content from CCEP, there's also content from other areas that they can really pull from.
Excellent, and it's very, very good for artifacts. You know, you really have to push it hard before you even start to hear artifacts. So, in my opinion, this is by far one of the best noise reduction tools. Okay, next example.
So it's simple, intuitive for both reps and effective for us as sales managers as well.
Okay, actually, this is the same guy, so really I should have just retained those settings. If you wanted to, of course, if you were processing audio from the same interview, you could establish some settings, go into the preset section here, maybe save settings. I'll just call this, it's from a company called CCEP. CCEP, I don't know, guy 1, let's say that's what I called it. And then if I open this, say at a later date or another time, and I wanted to recall that, I could of course go into the presets or drop down here, choose it, and it's recalled those settings. Then you can just render it. You don't have to work out what the settings are again because they're there in the preset, and then we've got the clean result.
So it's simple, intuitive for both reps and effective for us as sales managers as well.
Perfect. Okay, next one.
Now, Hannah, we need to go in for the kill for this Sildersoon project. Know what I mean?
Okay, so definite noise here with clothing.
We need to go in for the kill for this.
It'll be interesting to see how it does with this. I'm just going to reset this. Incidentally, if you want to reset these to default, you can just option click them. So let's preview this.
Now, Hannah, we need to go in for the kill for this Sildersoon project. Know what I mean? Now, Hannah, we need to go in for the kill for this Sildersoon project. Know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Okay, try rendering this and see what we've got. That was sounding pretty good.
Now, Hannah, we need to go in for the kill for this Sildersoon project. Know what I mean?
Now,
go in for the kill.
There is a little bit there.
Now, Hannah, we need to go in for the kill for this Sildersoon project.
But this guy was on screen. You could see him moving around in the actual shot that accompanied this. So I think that's actually a decent balance. You know, you have to be realistic about whether you want to try and eradicate the noise or just reduce the noise to an acceptable level. And I'm very happy with that. So we'll go with that. Okay, next one. Here it is, unprocessed, number 7.
You know, my whole life I've been manipulating people. Most of the time I don't even realise I'm doing it. But today is different. Today I know exactly what I'm doing. Today is the culmination of a series of events.
Okay, so there's not really any rustle in this one, but it's a bad recording and there's sounds like the microphone's too far away. This will be a boom mic as opposed to a lav. So we're going to primarily reduce the reverb, but there is a tiny bit of noise, you know. We'll try and reduce it. And of course, with audio such as this, which is from a drama, ultimately you're going to put your own backgrounds in anyway. So it's worth cleaning the dialogue as best possible and then adding in your own nice, clean sounding stereo backgrounds.
You know, my whole life I've been manipulating people. Most of the time I don't even realise I'm doing it.
That's good.
But today is...
There's the noise. There is a bit of shuffling around, but not much. But there's other general noise.
Outcome. You know, my whole life I've been manipulating people. Most of the time I don't even realise I'm doing it. But today is different. Today I know exactly what I'm doing.
I'm happy with that balance. So I'll play a little bit again, unprocessed, then we'll render it, hear the finished result.
You know, my whole life I've been manipulating people. Most of the time I don't even realise I'm doing it.
Okay, and then rendering it with Hush Pro, and here's the result.
You know, my whole life I've been manipulating people. Most of the time I don't even realise I'm doing it.
Very, very good once again. Okay, number 8.
Those laws were drafted by Sir Christopher Wren in 1667 in the immediate aftermath of the Great Fire of London.
So it's very reverberant. She was on stage, but there's also a little bit of noise here, clothing Rustle.
In 1667.
Okay. Let's see what we can do with this.
Those laws were drafted
Here's the reverb
by
on its
Sir
own.
Christopher Wren in 1667 in the immediate aftermath of the Great Fire of London, and they were put in place to make sure that a catastrophe like that could never hit the capital again.
Well, some great results there. Hush Pro does a great job on Apple Silicon Macs at reducing reverb, clothing rustle, and a wide variety of other noise issues on dialogue recordings. I'll be covering some more use cases very soon, but in the meantime, if you're interested, please check out hushaudioapp.com for more information. Thanks for watching.